are so many videos on the internet talking about how to date men, how to find high value men, how to vet men, how to spot the red flags in men, how to have high standards when dating men, like just all these things about men, right? But we never actually talk about how to do the same with friends. Hi, Bella Beauties. Welcome back to my channel. Remember in my stuck up video, I told you guys that you need to have high standards for the people you allow in your life and to filter out people who can't have access to you. Well, you can do that by actually dating your friends. And no, I don't mean dating them romantically, but similar to romantic relationships with men, when you are interested in a relationship with a man or vice versa, you tend to date them first, right? Before you agree to committing to a full blown relationship with them. So how come we don't do that with our friends? I've noticed that we tend to meet people like if they have a good vibe, the first few times that we meet them, we just start to call them friends. But then when you realize that this person is actually very toxic, then you feel like you got tricked or bamboozled because you didn't actually vet this person. And I think this actually stems from like our childhood. Like when we're friends, like when you're a child, like it's very easy to make friends. You just find somebody you can play with, and then we just call them friends, right? But I feel like it's a very different dynamic as adult, and I feel like we don't learn that as we're growing up. But we're going to talk about this in the video. In today's video, we are going to talk about your potential friends, how to vet them, how to date them, how to filter out those who can't have access to you. And I've told you guys, people will call you stuck up for doing this. They will say you think you're all that. You think you're above people. They'll say you're sedity, you're a diva, you're a mean girl, all the above. But being selective about the people you call friends doesn't make you any of these things, okay? It actually makes you very smart, discerning, and protective of yourself. Remember when you were a child and your parents warned you about stranger danger? When we become adults, we kind of just forget about that. There are still a lot of toxic people and predators out there in the world that we still need to protect ourselves from as adults. So you are the parent of yourself now, so protect yourself like you will protect your own child. Okay. And this video is specifically about friends and friendships, not allies. Those are two separate things. And that actually reminds me, I have to make another video about how to categorize your friendships. Let's talk about the reasons why you should date your friends. So when you date your friends, you actually get to spot the red flags very early before you actually commit to a full friendship with this person. You're not just calling people friends just because you knew them for a whole 24 hours. Okay. You get to know their personality a little bit more, to see if like you guys are actually compatible or not, for friendship. You get to bond over healthy things instead of bonding over like negative things like trauma or gossip or, all those terrible things. You also get to see how they handle conflicts and disagreements so that, you don't 6 months to a year in the friendship, you don't see them as like rageful, crazy people. They can actually handle conflicts and talk out issues like adults, right? Instead of like raging and being weird. You actually get to know this person more when you date them. And it actually breeds a very healthy friendship when you do this. So that is why we should date our friends. Okay, before we dive into how to date our friends, we need to make a list of our standards for friends and friendships. You guys know I love a good list, honey. I came up with this list because I realized that a lot of the friendships that I had in the past, it was just like girls that wanted to be friends with me. So I just decided to be their friend because they were interested in being friends with me. Like, oh, this girl's really nice to me. She seems cool. She wants to hang out all the times. All the time she wants to be my friend. So yeah, like we're friends now. Like we're friends. That's my friend. So I wouldn't vet them. Like I would just like, oh, they want to be friends with me. So yeah, now we're friends. Like I wouldn't even see if they met like my personal friendship standards. Like I would just accept anybody just because they wanted to be my friend. And that is a terrible way to navigate friendships and relationships in general. If we don't know what your standards are, you will just accept anybody into your life. And when you do that, you will get a lot of people that will bring toxicity and destruction into your life. So here are some example standards that I have for myself. I encourage you guys to create a list for yourself too. Like what kind of friends do you want? And also like refer back to the standards for people that you will not allow in your life, like along with your boundaries list, and all that good stuff. So, for example, one of my standards for friendship is that the person has to have their own life. Like, you have to have a life outside of me. You have to have a full life, yourself. Like, some people are very clingy. Like when they find a friend or when they find a boyfriend or something, like their whole world just revolves around that one person. And for me, like that's a lot of pressure to put on me. Like I literally have to I'm your whole world. Like I can't do that. It's too much pressure for me. Like I want you to have your own life outside of me. So that's one example of a standard for me. And an example of the standards for people that you will not allow in your life. So for example, I do not like overly sarcastic people. Like if you're overly sarcastic, like that's cool and all, but I just don't like people like that. It's just a personal standard of mine, because a lot of the times the sarcasm is very mean spirited, and it's just not cute to me. It's not funny to me. I just don't like it. So that's an example of the people that I will not call my friends. We can't be friends. So that's just an example. And also I have my boundaries list. An example boundary for me is that I don't like people that touch my things. Like, like let's say if my lip gloss is like laying on the table or something, like they just touch my things without asking me and like try to use my things. That's a boundary for me. Like, absolutely not. So that's an example. So you need to write all of these down in your three lists, so that you know exactly what you're looking for. Be intentional about finding good friends. Okay. I would love to sit here and tell you guys, like, oh, guys, like, go out into the world. Like, if you're nice to people, they'll be nice to you. If you're a good friend to somebody, they'll be a good friend to you. Like, like the world is just sunshine and rainbows. And, like I would love to sit here and tell you guys that, but we all know it's not true. And you need to be intentional and strategic about everything that you do, whether it's dating men or friendships or like your career or everything. You need to be strategic and intentional. So, number one, plan one on one outings with this person. So, let's say if you met this person like in a group setting, and you're interested in getting to know her more, like you can see yourself being really good friends with this person, like you like their energy, you like their personality or whatever. Go ahead and like plan a one-on-one activity or like a brunch date or something, like coffee or walk or something light. And on this day, like talk to them, ask questions, not like in a very intrusive way, just like in a friendly, like getting to know you kind of way. Just like how you do a romantic relationship, the first date should be like lighthearted, like you're just getting to know if you guys share the same interests. For example, like you can ask about her hobbies, favorite books, movies, travel experiences, and what she enjoys doing in her free time. And I'm not saying like do all of these at once. Like when you're having a natural conversation with somebody, like you guys will probably touch on these things like naturally. So I'm not saying like be like weird and just asking a bunch of questions. Like let the conversation flow. Like you're just getting to know what they're like, right? Their personality, what they like to do to see if you guys are compatible or not. Um, so this kind of casual conversation helps you both feel comfortable, and opens the door to discovering more common ground that you guys have together, right? And hanging out helps you to figure out if this person has their own identity or not. So like they won't end up copying your style or your life, or like they become very clingy. Like they have to have a life outside of you. Okay, like you make sure they have their own life and their own identity, so that they don't become obsessive with you. Spending time together, like in a one on one setting, helps you to get to know each other on like a deeper level without the distraction of a group. Sometimes people are very different in a group setting versus like a one on one. So without the dynamics and the noise of a group, like you can pay closer attention to her responses, body language, and the vibe she gives off, right? Like in a group, some people might feel like the need to conform to the group's energy, like, be more reserved or even act differently to fit into the group. But like in a one-on-one setting, you get a more authentic sense of who they are. So when you are, paying attention to her responses, her body language, and the vibes and everything, like make sure you guys are actually taking in what they say. Like when they respond to you about something, Think about that, okay? Because sometimes when people are fake, you will notice that their story changes, like their life story changes, like experiences that they tell you about. If they're lying, like you, over time, you will notice that, wait, but you told me so and so, you told me this story differently last time. Like, like pay attention. Do not just like be breezing through thinking like, oh yeah, she's telling me the truth, and like, don't be naive. Pay close attention to what they say and actually keep it in your brain, okay? Also, do not try to bond over trauma, okay? And do not trauma dump. Do not allow them to trauma dump on you either, like on the first date. Like, you guys should want to connect with, you should want to connect with somebody over shared interests, their personality, common ground, like instead of negative things, instead of gossip, instead of trauma, instead of all these negative things. Like, what positive things do you guys have together that you like, that you both like, that you both like to do, stuff like that. Right. Number two way on how to date your friends. Okay, so as time goes by and you guys have multiple hangouts and dates and stuff, you want to engage in more meaningful conversations. So, and this is to get to know each other more, right? So ask more questions about your life experiences. So share your own thoughts and experiences as well. Okay, it's not just, you're not just collecting information, you're also sharing something too. Because remember, we're actually trying to find real friends. I'm not talking about acquaintances, I'm not talking about allies, I'm talking about friends. You're actually trying to make a friend. Okay, this is around like the 6 months mark. 6 months mark. Like, we are not calling somebody our friend after a month. Okay, so around the 6 months mark, like, you should be getting to know each other like a little bit more. Okay, so meaningful conversations allow you to understand their personality, their perspectives, and what drives them. Okay, so you're getting to know them a bit more. So remember, we're not calling them our friends yet. Okay, you're still getting to know them, just like how you do with a man. You're still getting to know him. um, and while you get to know them, this is like when you start looking for any red flags that might pop up as you get closer to them. So we will talk about the red flags at the end of the video, because I just don't want to interrupt the flow of this video, but we'll discuss all the red flags. So yeah, number two, make sure like you're having meaningful conversations so that you can spot any red flags that might pop up during the hangouts and stuff. Number three, you want to assess their consistency and reliability. So, for example, notice if they follow through on plans or if they cancel last minute very often. So, if she doesn't want to do something, like, it is perfectly okay for her to decline the request. But if they wait till the last minute after you have already planned everything, arranged everything, maybe you had to pay, put down like a deposit or something, uh, and they do this consistently. I'm not talking about like a one off or like a two off or something. Like, they consistently do this. They're usually, canceling plans last minute. Like, if you don't want to do something, tell me early so that I can, just cancel it. I don't lose out on money. I don't lose out on my time, all of this. So if they're consistently canceling plans at the last minute, that is probably a sign that this might not be a good friend, because they do not respect your efforts, right? They're not respecting the fact that you are taking the time out of your day to plan these things. You are changing your schedule around and all that stuff. So that might be a sign that it might not be a good friend. Also, if they always decline the hangouts that you plan, but they always expect you to accept the hangouts that they plan, that is probably a sign that they might not be a good friend. Like, you will not always like something that your friend is into, and they will not always like something that you are into. But like, just like a romantic relationship, like, you compromise and participate in what your partner or your friend likes to do, right? It shouldn't always be about what they want, and it shouldn't always be about what you want, right? Sometimes you have to compromise and try out something that your friend likes to do too. So it's not just one-sided, right? So if they never make the effort when it's your plans, but they always want you to do what they want to do, their plans, their interests, they're probably not going to be good friends. All right, you also want to see if they respect your time, okay? Do they show up on time for your dates or your hangouts or the things you guys have planned? If they are consistently late, it's a sign that they don't respect your time. So now I know things happen. Like, sometimes there's unexpected traffic on the road. Maybe something happened right before they left the house. Like, whatever, life happens. But at some point, you don't respect my time. This is actually one of the standards that is very important to me, because I really respect people's time. Like, I do not play about people's time because I appreciate my time and everything that I do, weekly. Like, I appreciate my time and I also appreciate people's time. So I do not play about that. So if we agree to meet at 8, I will make sure that I am there by 8 because I prioritize it, right? I make sure I get in the shower on time. I make sure I do my makeup on time. I make sure, I get my clothes and, all of that done on time. I get on the road on time and and I make sure that I'm there by 8 because you're my friend and I respect your time. My standards is that you can't be more than like 15 to 20 minutes late. Like, anything more than that, I see it as you don't respect my time. So let's say like week one, like they were 15 to 20 minutes late. Okay. And then maybe 3 months later, they're also like 20 minutes late. Like, that's inconsistent and that's, fine. Things happen in life. But like, if every time or damn near every time we hang out, you're always late, that is a red flag for me. And that to me, it means that you don't respect my time. If they are consistently late, like, you need to communicate with them and set that boundary. Like, something like, hey, I noticed that you're always really late when it comes to our hangouts. It makes me feel like you don't really respect my time. And I'm not cool with that because when it comes to you, like, I always make sure like I'm on time. So I just expect the same from you. So if you communicate that boundary and they are still consistently late, then you should probably leave them alone. They will not be good friends. Or if you communicate that boundary and like they start telling you like, oh my God, you're doing too much. You're not my man. Like, why are you acting like we're in a relationship or whatever? If they try to gaslight you or make you feel bad about setting boundaries for yourself, then they'll probably not be good friends. So make sure that they respect your time. Number 4, ways on how to date your friends. So you want to make sure that you observe their behavior in different situations. So when you hang out with somebody one on one, you only see the personality and the character that they show you, like what they present to you. Sometimes people are very fake, so it's important to know how they act in front of other people. So plan hangouts around other people. Observe how they act around other people. So either plan like a group hangout or like invite them to something that you are doing with other people or like attend like a social event together. So here's what you are going to observe while you guys are doing this group activity or whatever, or this social event. You want to look out for, is their behavior consistent with how they act when it's just the two of you? Do they maintain the same level of kindness, respect, and openness towards you, like when you guys are in a group? Or do they seem to change their demeanor and depending on who's around? Okay. Are they like a totally different person that you can't recognize? Or do they make jokes at your expense, like the insults disguised as jokes thing? Do they try to make fun of you to change people's perception of you? Do they try embarrassing you in front of people? You also want to check their treatment of other people. So pay attention to how they treat people who can't offer them anything in return. So like service workers, staff, or like people in lower social class, like, are they still respectful and polite, or do they act very dismissive and rude towards those people? That might be a red flag if they are. So watch out for that too. Are they attention seeking? So do they often try to be the center of attention, even at the expense of others? How do they act when the attention is on you? Like, do they try to talk over you? Do they try to like push you around? Do they try to like do anything to take the attention off of you? How do they act when you start receiving compliments from other people? How do they act when men are paying more attention to you? Like, do they become jealous? Do they try embarrassing you? Do they try like putting you down? Stuff like that. So you need to watch out for all those things, right? You also want to watch out for gossiping. So pay attention to whether they engage in gossiping about other people in the group, or like if they start talking ish about their own friends, like talking mad trash about their own friends, like their good friends or whatever. Like, if they gossip about their other friends, there's a good chance that they might gossip about you too when you're not in the room. Um, so you need to watch out for that. These are all red flags to look for when you are dating this person or dating your friend. So observe their behavior in different situations. Like, don't just like be in a little bubble where it's just like one-on-one hangouts. Get to know how they are when they're in a group of people. So yeah. Number 5 way on how to date your friends is to set boundaries with them. This is very important, guys. One of the quickest way to spot toxic people is how they react after you set a boundary with them. So, for example, let's say this girl that you're getting to know is like very touchy. And this is actually one of my pet peeves. I hate when people touch me. Like, unless it's like a hug when I first see, like, or a hug before I leave, the hangout or whatever. Like, I don't like when people just touch me. Let's say she likes to touch you a lot, like, likes to touch your hair, your arm, like, likes to touch your things without permission. If you don't like that, communicate that boundary with them and observe how they act towards you afterwards. So, if she respects your boundary and adjusts her behavior accordingly, it's a positive sign that she values your comfort and respects your boundaries. So, this might be a green flag that she might be a good friend. If she dismisses your request and brushes it off, like if they make you feel like you're overreacting, like, oh my god, girl, you're doing too much, like it wasn't that big of a deal, like why can I touch your arm? Why can I touch this? Da 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 da. Red flag. She's okay with making you feel uncomfortable around her. She doesn't respect your boundary. So look out for dismissive behavior when you set a boundary. You also want to see if she tries to guilt trip you or push back against your boundary. So if she starts questioning why you need that boundary or like accuse you of being too stuck up or bougie, she doesn't respect your boundaries. So like me not wanting to be touched does not make me stuck up or bougie. I just don't like it. Like, keep your hands to yourself. It doesn't make me stuck up. It doesn't make me, you know, think that I think I'm better than other people. Like, no, I just don't want you to touch me. That's a boundary. So if they make you feel guilty for doing it or make you feel like you're doing too much, pushing back or trying to make you feel like you're a bad person for setting that boundary, they might not be a good friend. They're looking for somebody with no boundaries that they can walk all over and disrespect. Sometimes the reaction isn't like immediate after you set a boundary with them, but it's subtle. So like instead of becoming like aggressive or whatever, or trying to guilt trip you or whatever, sometimes they just become very distant. They stop texting you back as often, or stop texting you in general, or they become very passive aggressive. Like you can tell they feel some type of way about the boundary, but they don't really want to tell you outright. So they start acting funny, or they start making like snide remarks, all because you set a boundary with them. And this kind of response reveals like their inability to handle boundaries maturely. Boundaries is not a bad thing. It's okay for you to say no, even in friendships. Okay, it's okay for you not wanting people to touch you, not wanting people to touch your things. Like, it's okay to set boundaries for yourself. Just like if they have something that they're uncomfortable with and they set a boundary with you, you have to respect that, and it's okay for them to set that boundary with you too. So do not let people make you feel guilty. So guys, make sure you set boundaries with people. Okay, is the easiest way to weed and filter out toxic people from your life. A lot of the times we like to complain that our friends turned out to be toxic or narcissistic or fake or whatever, but toxic people test your boundaries all the time. They test everybody's boundaries, especially in the beginning, right? When you're too scared to set boundaries with them and let a lot of things slide, their bad behavior gets even worse. Okay. How do you set the boundaries in the beginning of the relationship? They will know that they can't disrespect you. So they will either show you respect or leave your life. Either way, it's a win win for you because you're not about to be disrespected, right? So set those boundaries, guys. Do not let desperation, guilt, and fear drive you to allow disrespect. Okay, set your boundaries. You will be so happy for setting boundaries because you will literally see toxic people like drop out of your life. They'll either ghost you, distance themselves, or whatever, just because you set boundaries with them. And you don't have to be an a-hole to set a boundary, like unless they start like maybe being aggressive or being an a-hole to you. But if you guys don't know how to set boundaries, go watch my video that's called You Have to Be Mean If You're Pretty. We talk a lot about boundaries in that video. So go ahead and check that out. Okay, so now let's talk about the red flags that I want to talk about, like in number two. So as you're dating your friend, you should be looking out for these signs of toxicity. Okay, so first, notice how they handle conflict. If you guys have a disagreement or something, How does she react? Does she want to fight you? Does she rage at you like a crazy person? Does she hit below the belt? Let's say like you're not okay with being the one taking, calling the Ubers all the time. Like that she starts insulting you with like personal things and start raging and being crazy. To assess all those things, like can they handle conflict? Can they sit down and talk about your disagreements and stuff like mature adults? You need to figure that out before you start calling somebody a friend. Another sign of a red flag. So, do they disrespect your boundaries? So, if they push past your boundaries, whether like it's about time or your personal space or your physical, appearance, or like your emotional limits or whatever. For example, they want to push you to share like traumatic things that you don't want to share with them, or they ask you for money that you don't want to give, or you say no and they become like very disrespectful, or they start guilt tripping you to try to manipulate you. Like, do they disrespect your boundaries? Do they keep like trying to push past your boundaries, making you feel guilty, like, and giving you all this pressure to like give in and disregard your boundaries? If they do that, red flag. Okay, they will not be a good friend. Another red flag, their attitude. Do they have a negative attitude? So do they consistently exhibit a negative outlook on life? Like, they often complain about the bad side of things, like the bad side of life, and whatever. So do you ever have those people that they're just always negative? Like, I know things happen in life, I know we all go through things in life, but damn, like every day I gotta hear like how horrible your life is, and like you just never have any hope, and you're just never happy about anything. Like, they're just negative all the time. Like, that is draining. That's a person that's very draining, and it can impact your own positivity, and it can impact your own like positivity. And you will, if you hang around this person long enough, you will start to become miserable just like them. Like, you will always think the world is bad. You will always think like, you always focus on negative things instead of like thinking about the positive. So like, if somebody says like, "Oh, I can't get this career because all these things happen to me, and stuff is just always happening to me," you will start to develop that mindset too. Like, "Oh, things are just happening to me because I'm this. I can't achieve that. I can." You will become miserable just like that. Okay, so negative attitude, red flag. You gotta go. Another red flag, you want to look out for self-centeredness or selfishness. So, are the conversations always revolving around them? Do they rarely show interest in your life or your experiences? Like, everything just always about them. They control the conversation. Is it always about where they want to go? The restaurants they want to try instead of what you want to do. Do they always like, just everything is about them, what they want to do? Like, if you want to go somewhere, like, oh, they have a reason why they don't want to go, or they just don't want to go. They feel like where they want to go is better than where you want to go all the time, right? The relationship is about compromise and reciprocity. So sometimes we'll do what you like, sometimes we'll do what I like, or sometimes we do what we both like. So if it's always about them and what they want, it's a sign that they will not be a good friend, right? Because they're selfish and it's all about them. Do they always want you to take pictures of them, but when it's time for them to take your picture, like they either take the picture very horribly, like, or they do it like very quickly, and now they're like in a hurry to leave. Like, so you take good pictures of them, you take your time, you give them the angles, you tell them how to pose, you get the right lighting and everything. But then when it comes to you, like, they either say, "Oh, we gotta go though, we're going to be late, like, we have to go now." Like, they have a reason why they can't take your picture, or they take your picture but like they're not happy about it, like they seem annoyed by it. Or they will take the picture, like they'll do it very quickly, or they'll just take very horrible pictures, like they don't take the time to take your picture. Like, they just don't care. It's all about them and what they want. So if you find people like this that are very self-centered and very selfish, they are not looking for friends. They are looking for fans. They're looking for minions and loyal followers that will just do whatever they want to do. Like, you're just a side character in their life. They don't even think of you as your own person. Like, you're just there to stroke their ego and to just do whatever they want to do. So that's a red flag. Are they selfish? Red flag. Another red flag to look out for. Do they disregard your opinions or your talking points or your whatever? So They dismiss or belittle your opinions, your ideas, like making you feel unheard or undervalued in the friendship. So maybe that, like, they're very condescending or they're patronizing. They talk to you like you're a child, or like they just try to dismiss your, your opinions on things as if like it's not important, or like you're wrong, or you just, what you're saying is not smart, or like only their opinion is the right thing. Like you can't have an opinion outside of what they think. So you need to look out for that. That is a red flag. You need to look out for manipulative behavior. So they use guilt, pressure, or emotional manipulation to get their way. So they make you feel uncomfortable, or they coerce you into doing things that you really don't want to do. So there are a lot of people out here, guys, that are looking to use people. If you ever feel like you're being pressured to do something, or you're being guilt tripped to do something, that they want you to do, that's a red flag, and they are manipulating you. That's why I always say, like, if you're an empath, or you're a people pleaser, or like you call yourself a good person, or you're very kind, that's why I always say you guys need to put your empathy on a shelf, because there are a lot of people out here that are looking to use you. They're looking to use your energy, your resources, to do whatever. So you need to make sure that this person is not manipulating you. They will start guilt tripping you. So like they will use emotional blackmail. So like they'll say something like, "Oh, if you really cared about me, you would do this for me. Like if you were really friends, if you're really my friend, you will lend me that $600 because I'm late on rent, and whatever." Like they try to make you feel guilty. Like you start thinking like, "Oh my God, am I a bad friend because I'm not lending her $600? Like, am I a terrible person?" Like, they start emotionally blackmailing you. They're manipulating you. Red flag. If they start to play victim, like they often play victim to elicit sympathy and manipulate you into doing things for them. So these are people that, again, the things are always happening to them. Like they're always being wronged. They're never in the wrong. Like they just have a victim mentality, and like they always say like, "Oh, I've been through so much, and people always do this to me and do that to me." Like they're playing the victim so that you can, try to save them. So they're manipulating you. They're using your emotions against you. So like if you don't jump in to save them, you feel guilty. Like you feel like you're a bad person. So if somebody's always playing a victim to get something out of you, red flag. That is not a good friend. She's just using you. Like if they try to say things like, "Oh, I've done so much for you. Like, can you do this one thing for me?" Like they just like doing things just because they want something out of you. Or they overstep your boundaries, or they try to like pressure you, like saying stuff like, "Oh, come on, just this once," like, or "Don't be such a downer, like let's do this," to things that you don't really want to do. Like they're pressuring you, they're manipulating you. Red flag. All right, another red flag: jealousy and competitiveness. So I already talked about this in my last video. It's titled "She Don't Like You," so I'm not going to spend too much time here. All right, another red flag: excessive drama. So if they thrive on drama, and they often create or attract chaotic situations, which can be emotionally exhausting and disrupt your peace of mind. So again, somebody that's always going through something, they always have beef for somebody, they always have beef for this person and that person, and they're always fighting with your man, they're always fighting with their other friends. Like they just have beef, they just have drama always just following them. Like those people are draining, and they will make your life miserable. And then you will feel like you have to jump in for them because that's your friend and whatever. Like you can destroy your life from taking on other people's drama, or like people that like to fight all the time. Like you're out with them, and then they become aggressive and fight somebody, they create that drama, and then somebody wants to fight you because you're their friend. Like no, no, take that drama away from me. No thank you. Like you're always in some type of drama. Red flag. Another red flag is lack of accountability. So they rarely apologize when they're wrong, or like they don't admit when they're wrong. Like they can't. So they deflect, they blame you, or for something when they're wrong, like, or they try to bring up a mistake that you did, or something that you did to them like 3 months ago that they never talked to you about, that you never knew that it was offensive to them or whatever, instead of just admitting that they were wrong for something that they did to you right now. So they will just they're never wrong, they can't apologize, they can't admit when they're wrong. red flag. That is not going to be a good friend. Another red flag, if they are overly critical. So I talk about this in my last video too, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. Like, so basically, people that are very blunt and very harsh with your words, they criticize everything that you do, like nothing you do or say is ever right. They're just very mean with the way they criticize you and all those things. Like red flag, I do not like people like that around me. Like you can criticize or you can tell me something that's wrong without like making me feel like ish. Okay. Another one is inconsistent effort. Okay. So they put in minimal effort to maintain the friendship. Like they only reach out when they need something from you. And they just, don't put effort into the friendship. Red flag. Like you only hit me up when you need something from me. You don't make any effort to, sustain the friendship. So no, I don't want to be friends with you. Red flag. So now I'm not saying like you need to be clingy with your friend or whatever. You guys need to see each other all the time, whatever, but they just don't ever act like a friend. So red flag. I don't want you to be my friend. No thanks. Last one is aggression. So like I said, I don't like super aggressive people. I don't like people that speak harshly. Like, have you ever met those people where like every single sentence they say have to have some type of curse word in it? Like they can't form a full paragraph without f bombs and s bombs and b words and whatever. I don't like people that talk aggressively. I don't like people that are very aggressive. Like they have a problem with everybody that looks at them for like 2 seconds. Like they always in some type of conflict. They're just aggressive. Like just everything about them is just hostile and aggressive and volatile. Like my nervous system cannot be around somebody like that. That's just my personal standard for myself. So I do not like aggressive people. So that's just me. But those are just a few ways that you can date your friends and spot the red flags early before calling somebody your friend, because most people will not be your friends. And after you do this, you will realize that a lot of people will not qualify to be your friends. But the people that do qualify, though it will be very few, but it will be very good friendships because it will be healthy. They're not going to be perfect, right? Nobody's perfect because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but for the most part, they're decent people, and that's what you want. That's the people you want to be friends with. Like at the end of the dating phase and everything like that, you find out that a lot of people do not make the cut. A lot of people cannot be good friends. So just take that into account when you're doing this, because like I don't want you guys to expect to have make all these like group of friends and whatever, and like you don't, because people do not match this. So yeah, I hope you guys like the video. If you guys have any other ways to date your friends, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. All right, glow getters, I will see you in the next video. Bye.